Well, good morning. We're going to take a quick walk through Lake Timmy. Everything's greening up pretty nice. I had pretty much fully mulched this one. Planted a winter seed mix which had wheat, oat, brassicas, turnips, clover. And the rain was so sporadic. I probably planted in September, then again in October, then again in November. Then we finally got some moisture and got some real tall grass coming up. Anyway, let's take a little walk. But I don't know that I showed you this, but on my land I've got 2 red ant mounds. If y'all are in central Texas and grew up, we had a lot of these, and we had a lot of horny toads, and it turned out that the horny toads eat the red ants. And since I haven't it'd be nice if I could maybe contact the state and see if they'd introduce a horny toad onto my property, since there's a food source for them. Anyway, right over here is my very shallow 6-foot well. What I did is I've got a flow. I don't know how to explain this. I've got clay. When you get up here, when you look at that fence line up there and see that kind of beigey color, that's clay mixed with limestone. But as you get further down here, there's topsoil above it, so there may be 4 foot of topsoil, but that clay is still in the bottom. So what happens, once you hit this topsoil, the water's soaking in through the topsoil, hitting that clay layer, and then you've got this underground flow just flowing down underground. So I ended up, it's on a video from last year, and it was a lot of stored water underneath here, but I cut a horseshoe trench 4 to 5 feet deep till I hit that clay layer, and then I filled that trench with clay. So I basically have created an underground pond. And that, like I said, that pipe right there is about 6 feet in the ground, I think, into that water, so I can just hand pump it and pump it out. Problem I have right now, we're kind of in the beginning of the season, it's probably got a foot of water down in there. I can put a string down and pull it up and just measure the wet area to see the depth of the water. I mean, it should get to like 2 feet deep as the rain starts coming. But right now I've got to cut about 8 inches off of the pipe. It's hovering too high above the water level, so I can't really pump it right now. But that's pretty cool that we did that. Interesting project for sure. I mean, it's basically taking the concept of a keyed dam and just applying it in the ground without a pond above it. So that was pretty cool. But anyway, we have a seasonal flow, which I'm backing myself up to a fence here. And that seasonal flow would actually exit at the left side of this gate right here. It was just like plunk going down through here, and I actually rerouted it. So you can see the rocks. We did the rock liner for erosion, aeration, dropping out sediment. I didn't put the gravel in it. Normally you would want to put gravel in to lock it in, because a big rain will actually upturn all these rocks. But I am glad to see that I've got some grass growing through here, so that'll kind of hold it. Let's just walk and see what I did with this. Anyway, at this point I had to start thinking about going left, because we're going uphill from here. So I actually dug a hole here. It's not clay lined or anything like that. Let me see if I can pan back, get a better view of it. Anyway, so water's going to flow in here, and then from there we start turning and going right. So we're now having the water exit over here where it exited down here, so it's covering a lot more ground to hopefully keep this area green. So I'm pretty excited about that. But as we make our way uphill, we're going to start approaching Lake Timmy. And I don't know if I said this, but the grass is splotchy, but it's grass and it's tall. And there's a mix. I mean, we not only have the wheat and oat, which is this right here, but we've got the inevitable Bermuda right here. And the reason I'm filming this now is I'm fixing to move the cows back out here, let them eat it down. I mean, we're fixing to get into steady 90 to 100 degree days, and I'm sure this wheat and oat's going to die back, so I'm going to let it eat it, and then I'll plant it with more of a summertime, like a millet or something like that. Anyway, we're coming up to Lake Timmy, which has been very, very stable. This is a pond where all I had to do is dig it out. This was all clay mixed with limestone. I didn't have to do nothing, just dig a hole, and the water came. And if you look, all this uphill area is like a roof. It's like having a water tank at your gutter. I mean, this is my roof. That's my rain tank, my rainwater tank, my rain barrel, and it works out pretty good. But this thing is full of perch and minnows, and I'd seen one big bass. But the sediment pond, which was my last video, I had mentioned that I probably had 150 lily pads in there. So when I had to dig out that 18 inches of sediment out of there, we took some and planted them in here, and they're doing great. Look how beautiful these flowers are. And I think these are Texas Dawn, which is the Texas State lily pad. Who knew that existed? Anyway, so the nice thing about Timmy is this is almost a constant level lake. I mean, it's not deep, so I can plant lily pads anywhere. There's no 5-foot holes or 6-foot holes or anything like that. So theoretically, this could be a nursery for lily pads, and they're worth about 50 bucks a plant. So this could be income if I chose to go that direction. Also have, I think these are cattails. We're gonna know as soon as they make the cattails, but I'll have to keep that under control, which would be easy enough. I forgot to mention peas. So the food plot mix had peas in it too, which is a nitrogen fixer, and there are plenty of them along here. Anyway, I put about 2 pounds of minnows in here. I had put a couple of perch, or a few perch in here. It's really taken off. I mean, it was just full of fish. And this is same thing as the lily pads. So I got my main pond below the sediment pond. I got big hungry bass, and they're gonna have to be fed. So this is same thing. This is like a nursery stock. I can throw out a minnow trap and catch minnows and perch, transfer them up to the main pond to keep the bass fed. So anyway, we're gonna walk over to see the exit of this, because I think this is the most interesting part of it. Now back to the cows coming out here. I don't want them just on green grass that kind of makes their cow patties pretty soft and liquidy if they're just on grass. So I'm going to continue the spreading out little patches of hay. So I'm going to go ahead and start on this upper area. This was all dug out for the pond. I'm going to start spreading hay out there, try to get a mulch layer. I am kind of mixed on it because I could start harvesting that for other projects too. But if you see to the left, you can see that's where I was scraping out for the dam here. Never really got the dam situated. I'm sorry to break again, but there's that's the peas blooming. Got some false bluebonnet right here. Anyway, we're gonna go on to the overflow, because this is the coolest part in my mind. So when Lake Timmy is gonna overflow, here we go, nice view of it. It's gonna exit out through this. It's the width of my my skid steer bucket, so it's probably 6 foot wide, so it should be a gentle flow. And keep in mind, unlike my sediment pond and main pond, this is not in a water flow. I mean, this is catching water just from up here, where you go to my sediment pond and main pond, that water may be coming. See those mountains back there, or hills? I mean, the sediment pond is catching water from probably 3/4 of a mile away. It's just a natural ravine flow on it. Anyway, so here we go. So the water's gonna slow, because like I said, I don't anticipate this getting out of control. It's gonna exit this fence pretty slow, come straight out here, fill this, overflow, fill that waffle, and continue down. There's 5 of these waffles, and you can see I have been filling them with mulch. So that's going to add some topsoil and stuff. And then at each dam, at each intersection point where the water overflows, you can see where I planted a pecan tree. And I've talked about encroachment. The government's taken this land. I don't know where my property line is going to be. Honestly, it might just be 10 yards past this pecan tree here. If you can see that mobile home right over here, that's actually going to be government property. And if you can see this fence over here, it's actually coming to this fence and kind of coming out at an angle. So this is going to be real close to the property line. And that was my thought, is how to make the best use out of it. Since this paddock and everything to the left of this fence is fenced off for cows, for cow paddocks, I figured I can make this a pecan orchard. I'll never have cows out there, and it doesn't matter if the property line is 10 yards or 20 yards. I mean, I'll just have, I mean, if it goes back further, I could put another row of pecans. I mean, I'm not real interested in cutting down these trees. It's sad that the government's going to do it. I mean, we got some nice, for what do you call them, ash juniper, which is our Central Texas cedar tree. I mean, if you look at this, these are the tree type, not the bush type. I mean, you can see through it. You know, if you've got cedar trees, you can't see through it like this. It's a bunch of, you know, it's going to be a bunch of branches coming out from the ground, creating a big bush. So, I mean, I really think these need to be protected. So I'm not, like I said, not interested at all in cutting them down. The good thing is this is south facing. You get this back. I mean, this side of the tree is south facing, and the sun sets that away. So this will get full sun. Actually, here's a good example of the non-tree type. See how it just bushes out at the bottom? And this one may end up coming down because it's actually shading out this tree here. Anyway, just a nice little early spring walkthrough of the Timmy paddock. I'm sure excited about this, and I'm excited it's going to feed my cows. The drone guy did fly over this one also, but he's kind of new to it, and he didn't have an SD card in his drone, so he can only record like 20 seconds. If I can get him back out here with an SD card, we'll get some bigger footage. But I guess we're going to end this with another flyover like we did in the last video. Anyway, y'all have a great day.